Hey everyone, and welcome to Adulting Done Right. My name is Ginger.
I'm Kevin.
Welcome. For those of you that are joining us again, welcome back and thank you so much. For those of you that are new, welcome to Adulting Done Right. And you may be thinking, but I'm already adulting, why do I need to watch this? Yes, you are. That's exactly right. Everybody kind of goes through their process of growing up, adulting, whatever you want to call it. But everybody hits bumps along the way. I know that I have, and I'm sure Kevin can tell you his fair share of bumps that he's hit. But think of us as your guide to help you navigate those bumps along the way. Because as with any trip and any journey that anybody takes, they all have to look at the map at least once.
And this brings us to the big date for a lot of you guys. Midterms Finals are fast approaching.
Today's topic is, as you said, midterms, finals. Kind of getting ready and gearing you up for
that finishing strong.
Yes.
Or going into the next year, going into the next semester strong, or the next half of the semester strong. We have plenty of experience with that, albeit since we both graduated.
First, we're going to talk about things that worked for us while we were in college, and then we're going to go into some kind of big ahas that we had, and then the actual tips and tricks to help you out if you are in this crunch mode.
Yes. My college career, I guess like many, started off very bumpy. The first year was very rocky for me. I went to supposedly a very challenging high school that's ranked one of the higher ones in the whole nation. I just never found it that challenging. I was one of those ones who, one of those students that never really had to study, would still always manage to get A's and B's, and even the subjects that I didn't like. So that kind of led to a lot of me being a little bit rogue that first year of college, saying, oh, I don't have to go to class, and oh, I don't have to study. Kind of an ego got built up there. I had some of those aha moments, and it was really, for me, it was go to class, show up, take notes, and do the homework. Don't shoot yourself in the foot any by saying, oh, I don't have to do the homework. And looking at the homework as a way of, instead of having to do a bunch of studying towards the end, was using the homework as that's like the pulse check to say, I'm understanding the concepts of what I'm doing.
Yes, I agree. I also had a very rocky first year, I'll say, or maybe actually almost first year and a half. I went to a very big school, and it was lecture classes of 300 kids, and I, again, very much like Kevin, I did not have to study or do much in high school to get A's and B's. I did very well with minimal effort, I'll say, but college was very different for me. I tried to maintain that same sort of structure that I had in college, but it did not work at all. And my first year, I did quite poorly. And then it wasn't until the second or third year where I finally nailed
everything got put together.
Everything got put together. Yeah. And it was really, as you said, realizing that the assignments and going to class are think of it as your opportunity for you to study. That is really your pulse checks, as you said. It's really your kind of stepping blocks along the way to make sure that you're grasping all of that relevant material.
Instead of trying to put in a lot of time basically at the end,
trying to cram a whole course, because I think this is what a lot of us do, or what I know I did. You tried, you're like, I don't have to go to class, I don't have to do an assignment, and then you're trying to cram 16 weeks, 8 to 16 weeks, whatever it is, worth of material into 2 days maybe, or a night. And you're overwhelmed, you're just feeling all of it, and it's not realistic. And if you are able to cram any of that information into your head, it's all gone.
It's not realistic, and it leads to a constant problem. I think it's a problem in our educational system where you do memery dumps.
Exactly.
You sit there.
That's what memory dumps.
You sit there and say you went through it, you got through it, and you're like, whew, I got through it. Now I can forget it all and move on to the next thing.
And what we're getting at is you want to develop a system so that you don't do that memory dump. There are things that you can do to make the kind of in between easier. The studying
Yes.
and the retaining of that information much easier.
For me, when I put it all together, it was basically after we had some come to Jesus talks with me and my family saying, do you want to come back and live with us, or do you actually want to stay in college and graduate and so on. And I pretty much was like, all right, I'll do the latter and I'll stay in college and graduate. I thank you, but no thank you. The college that I was at started implementing an attendance policy, so part of your grade was attendance. And that, again, for me, my learning style, if I'm in there and I'm paying attention, that's the world of difference right there.
Oh, absolutely. Don't fiddle around on Facebook, don't fiddle around on Twitter, Instagram. Like, if you're going to go to class,
I would definitely say
pay attention.
There was not at least as many distractions in that realm. But my suggestion would be put your phone down, zip it up in your book bag, and if you got a laptop, just fold that sucker down unless it's obviously a class that requires it.
Or you're taking notes. Like, be present, though. That's the
biggest point.
That's the biggest thing. If you're going to class, be present in the class.
So
that way you don't have to make as much of an investment outside of the class. Or if you're in an online class, too. Because I know so many people now that take online classes, and they take online classes thinking that it'll be easier. But you have to be present. Don't have multiple tabs or multiple windows open. Focus on the task at hand.
Yes, it's very difficult these days with all the sensory overload to focus, but
But that's key.
If you can, I would suggest trying to dedicate the time for however long it is to making sure you're dialed in for that class. Through high school, I developed bad habits of saying I would always do homework last minute and do it literally the period before, and it really was just more of a chore. For me, college it helped me cut down on study time because if I was taking calculus and I did all the homework and I mastered all the homework, then I knew that I understood the concept.
Exactly.
And really, the biggest difference I want to say in between high school and college is that they're going to teach you theory of everything. It's going to be theory. It's not, they aren't teaching you the technical, unless you're going to a technical college, they aren't teaching you the how to do it. They're teaching you in theory of how it's done.
Yes, exactly.
So, with that being said, the homework, don't view it so much of, I've got homework. Just do this mental trick to yourself and say, look, I'm studying a few weeks earlier for the test. And believe me, that'll make your life, if it's a final, if it's a midterm, whatever test it may be, a test at the end of the day is a test. The sad thing is that we all get into places where where the final determines our grade.
Yes, absolutely.
So then the next step for me is once I did the homework, knew I understood the course or that concept, then when it actually comes test time, I would typically, if I had it, I would look at my schedule and clear at least an hour or two and just sit there and just do as good of a refresh over all the material that I could, leading right into that class.
Another thing that I also did, I would do all of my classes on 2 days. And I would intentionally do 2 to 3 hour blocks in between each class. So that way if I had classes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, I was on campus all day. I was commuting to classes by the time I had my system down. So I would go there Tuesdays, Thursdays, I would have my first class. Then in between each other class, I would have that was my study time. That was my time to do my assignments. I had dedicated time. I built it into my schedule. That was a huge unlock for me.
I allocated my schedule basically to where I knew I'm a night person and I'm not a morning person. So I allocated my schedule to where a lot of my classes started later in the day. It's a very simple approach, but it's understanding, I think it's a good amount of understanding yourself, understanding your schedule, and then developing a system around that.
The big take home is cramming doesn't really do you any good. You have to develop the systems, and you have to put the systems in place in order to make your workload easier, because the truth of the matter is that this is stuff that you're going to have to deal with all throughout life, and the sooner that you develop these systems and the sooner you put them in place, the better off you'll be long term.
And I guarantee you, if you have a good memory and you can think back to, okay, when I was successful, what did I do when I was successful? And I guarantee you, if you think back to those points, it never involved starting late. It never involved cramming a lot of information in at the last point. I will say, just from a stress perspective, that first year was very finals did determine a lot of things. I did a lot of cramming at the end to make sure that at least I did not completely destroy the GPA right off the bat. With that being said, the next year was very different. So when I took calculus the next year, it's nice when you go into the final knowing that you can get like a 50, I think I could get a 43 and I'd still get a 90.
It's a lot better to go into it with knowing that you need to get a 43 to get an A.
Yes.
Versus knowing that you need to get a 90 to get a C.
Yes, exactly. Also, I will say that the next biggest thing is being realistic about what you want out of the class. Do you want to get an A? Or do you want to get a B? Do you want to get a C?
Why would you want to get
I truthfully don't say go for anything below an A.
If you're going to invest your time in it,
if you're investing your time in your education, you shouldn't be going for anything below an A. If for whatever reason it's not a strong subject of yours, start mapping out what a B will look like. Once you know what you want to get out of the class, it's a very easy to schedule that out as to make that happen. Some of the stuff that we're given right now is probably a little too
You're probably a little too late for this.
Yes.
However, stay tuned for our next video, and I'll link it in the description below, of where we give you some tips to maybe help you if you are in that cram mode and it is a little too late to implement the system now. Maybe you can implement it in your future classes. Right, and going forward. So if you need those tips to help get you through this test, this final, this midterm, I will link that video in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you found this helpful. I hope us sharing our experience with you guys helps you maybe realize the benefits of establishing a system and maybe kind of adopting some of these things. And like I said, I will link that other video in the description box below. If you enjoy what we're doing, definitely give us a like. Subscribe as well. That way you can see more of us.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.